disabled now that 7th zone has appeared. So no more freebies.
Just waiting to see. That pulse fire could be the real comeback mechanic right now for Deemish and Darm. Pixie, Swizzy. They don't want anything to do. They hear the audio cue. That's good enough for them. We will just take a second. That is all you guys. Keep it pushing. We are not going to get involved. But for Darm and Deemish, they don't have any other options. They're going to have to keep fighting because they're going to need a refresh on materials with Darm having been taken out just moments ago. It's Panzer, Yapko on high alert here. Fully aware of the fact there are a lot of teams in the surrounding area, Thomas Focus being one of them, but the way that this zone is pooling, it is allowing for some teams to have a little bit of protection from that cliff face, but it all depends on whether or not they have to actually scale back up the elevation.
Whole team is trying to get front side here. Sky and Scroll first to do it. Ju now looking back to see if they can pick up anything. And the players rotating on in. So far, no big hits. I think Chris had a hiccup earlier on. One of them got knocked. Now trying to force themselves into zone, but with a duo close by with Thomas and Focus taking shots from afar, it's going to be difficult. The good news is Trexer has gone down. Focus is now on for dodge. But it's not looking good for him.
It's just so bad, too, for Pink and Haris. They were trying to see if they could get a refresh, and now they know the body has gone down, but it's not even one they can capitalize on because of the steam over from Thomas and Focus, putting down too much third-party pressure. That was the open invitation for other teams to now get involved as Fido Dexy called over to where some of that noise is taking place, and Deemish actually going to be the one to shut down Pink. It's so hard to keep tabs on where everybody is at, especially when you got a player like Deemish and Darm just behind you with the Mammoth pistol.
Tough. Sky Scroll once again in the clouds alongside Shark Teeny, making that rotate come through. Curious to see if, you know, it's going to be the same amount of people as the day goes on, if more are going to start doing it, less are going to start doing it. I mean, it really depends where you are on the leaderboard, what you need to qualify. This time around, though, not as many players eluding the kind of pad rotate as last game.
The whole lobby is going to get involved. If players have the option to try and fizz pad up, they are going to take it every single day of the week. It is just too promising for helping them avoid, but poor Haris doesn't even get to factor in for the placement points. All that effort early on of escaping those early scrappy fights just kind of fizzling out here is now the entirety of the lobby is just going to start sending it upwards. Deemish and Darm, though, more than content to just take over on the low ground. Just focus on the receiving end now of their aggression, and Deemish, Darm. Deemish even matching his former elimination points with the A-piece, and they are not looking to try and put a pause on this anytime soon. They want as many elims as they can get.
Whatever the finals elim record is, they're looking to break it in this match. 27 players still up. Thomas HD, despite being second place going into this, now left as a solo. Placement points just started to kick in. Deemish and Darm, they've had an unfortunate day, but one big game is more than enough. Almost already at 100 points. That was the cutoff to qualifying going into this game. Good news is they're already qualified, just like Swizzy and Pixie, who've overthrown high and have 6 rockets left in an RPG.
It might actually be working in Darm and Deemish's favor too, because the way that they're destroying builds from height just makes it all the easier for a team on low to try and take them out as Thomas trying to squirm around, but Yanis, Rax will make quick work picking up that elimination. Darm has fallen yet again though. Deemish just been keying out of his mind here today. 9 eliminations already, but finally going to be shut down as Shark and Teeny, one of the double trouble components in Shark's hands, is a fearsome sight, but what will he do next? 3 eliminations already. They've got to play catch up if they want to try and overcome where Swizzy and Pixie are currently out on the leaderboard. And it is a big ask when you're also having to deal with the likes of Yapko and Panzer now making their presence known on height.
Despite having qualified, they've been having a bit of trouble today. Yapko, Panzer, they can force force height here. Could be the match they needed. Caspi, Vexy. Nice little pickup. Second Elim on the board now. They've been consistent, but not enough to be in that top 6 range. As Swizzy Pixie said, not so fast. This high ground is ours. Yapko left alone. Crack now as Swizzy gets back up. Greeted by his teammate as they're looking to close it out. Issue is running low on mats. Shark with a dangerous loadout. This is not something I'd want to face up against. Fido goes down. That's 6 for Shark and Teeny, and they're just getting started.
Just full control over this ultimate low ground. Now teams that are starting to try and break away from the pressure coming out of Swizzy and Pixie on height. But Deal, Jew, they might have a chop. Vexy could be dropped directly into their box. Instead, it's going to be Catchby and Vexy. Try and turn things around. Still a little bit further ahead, but Deal going to cut that med kit off, though. And immediately make their way forward. They need every little bit of material that they can find, but Jew going to be dropped straight into Shark's hands. There is nowhere left to run here. It is exclusively down to Vidil to try and pick up whatever placement points he can find.
Hellfire now up above. They've overthrown Swizzy. He ran out of mats, goes down. This is big for Hellfire and Co. Another quick elimination possible onto Skyjump. Goes down for it, misses the shot. Good news is both players are up. Bad news, your teammate is now gone down. It's all up to you, Hellfire. Can you make it happen? It's Sky and Scroll up above. 4 duos left, 6 players. 0 mats left. Hellfire has to clutch it up.
And Hellfire delivers. Skyjump with the siphon just in the nick of time. Every little bit counts, though. 4 eliminations in total. Shark, Teeny, now trying to see who's left to contend with. They're looking up. They might not even realize that Hellfire's sitting just behind, trying to see whether or not he can squeeze his way into that second place position. And Scroll has been taken out. Shark and Teeny are looking to try and overthrow on the high ground, and they managed to find it. Shark now trying to make his way over towards the patch up off the vending, but Hellfire still content to just keep playing out his med kits. That's gonna be the first knock coming into the mix. Is now Sky versus Hellfire to see who can actually close this one out, but Hellfire is completely out of heals. He won't be able to survive. The Victor Royale firmly in Sky and Scroll's hands.
What a way to close it out. We had the clash of the EU Titans. Sky Scroll up against Shark and Teeny, and all while that was happening, Hellfire just eating up his pizzas, healing up with medkits, doing anything he could to stay up, actually clutching the second place spot, bumping himself up that leaderboard. Sky Scroll will close out with a win, though. Let's go back to the desk.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Sky and Scroll there proving that as long as one is alive, they can definitely get it done, Harry. And it looked like Sky could have potentially won on the heel off, but managed to make things work versus Hellfire there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things we've been seeing more of this season is the tendency from Sky and Scroll to actually go towards high ground, right? You know, it's not really something you really, think when you think of Sky and Scroll as a high ground team, but, translating that and being able to do it also in reload with, as you're seeing throughout the games, just the amount of chaos on height, it means that, it makes them a much more well-rounded team, especially after their experience at the summit and, all the experience they've got throughout the year. I think, you can never really count out Sky and Scroll.
I mean, Levin is just like, yeah, I agree. Do you agree, Levin?
I do agree, yeah. I think one of the main things you obviously see with these guys is, especially in this lobby, there's so many opportunities to take it, right? And I think the way these guys play the game, they are the best in all of Fortnite at giving themselves time to make those types of decisions, to make those calls. And again, I think the theme of this lobby has obviously been a lot of the heal off site, and obviously Sky always going to be able to keep his composure in those moments. And so a great win for these guys, and again showing us that when it comes to Paris, they are going to be a threat. We always know they're going to be a threat in any competition they are in, but it's not just Battle Royale for these guys. These guys are top reload team.
Yeah, I felt like these two had to dust themselves off after just sort of they went in as the favorites. Obviously, it was a devastating game 12 for these guys where they narrowly missed out on taking that trophy. So the opportunity to go to Paris yet again as one of the favorites to take it is something they don't want to fall short at. So let's head to a break. When we come back, we'll be starting the second half of the games. are 4 games into our final Fortnite Reload Elite Series qualifying final. Yes, you heard me right. It's quite the mouthful, but the main thing you need to know is there are 3 spots in the Paris finals up for grabs. And a number of duos who've already qualified are doing extremely well tonight. So let's take a look at the leaderboard and find out the latest at the top of the tree. We have got Swizzy and Pixie continuing to dominate, and as you can see there, all 3 of our top 3 are already qualified and already vying to try and take the title tonight, Coach Harry.
Yeah, I mean, as we've talked about already today, is like there's a reason they're qualified. After 4, different rounds of qualifications, you're gonna expect to see the same teams at the top, right? And obviously, you want to see underdogs doing well, or teams haven't qualified. But it's always exciting to see the same teams at the top vying for the title, and it's always great to see teams like Swizzy and Pixie, Sky and Scroll, who just recently in the Div Cup were fighting for the win over that, and they're continuing it the next day into the Reload Elite Series as well.
And Shark and Teeny 11, they're looking on quality form. It doesn't matter which format, whether it's FNCS or Res. This is a duo that doesn't disappoint.
Yeah, we all were sort of coming into this going, okay, this is going to be a great opportunity for us to figure out who are the best EU teams that we are sending to Paris. Right? You said that at the start of the show, Harry, didn't you? I think based off of how today's been going, it's quite clear, at least we're at the halfway point, but ultimately, Shark and Teeny, they've been probably the most impressive team throughout the year from EU, right, when it comes to RES. And I think they're going to be a team that nobody from any region is going to want any problems or any smoke with when it comes to that LAN in Paris, because they are just unbelievable in this mode. I think it plays to a lot of their strengths as far as just, a lot of times just being able to focus on being good endgame players, which is what they've been all throughout the year. And so, again, a good showing, but they'll want more out of today. They'll be fighting for that first place still.
We'll take a look at that qualifying line, because also take a look at the points around it, because actually it's looking extremely close between 4th place and 8th place. And you can see that Yanis and Rax, Levin, they were your pick for a duo to watch tonight. They are so close to being in contention for those tickets.
Yeah, the biggest problem I think we're seeing with them is just the fact that they keep getting to endgame, which feels like the whole lobby is, right? But then it just seems to go awry in that final movement zone.
Well, anything can happen in this format. So let's head into game number 5 with Taco and Takata.
Thanks, Frankie. We're now over halfway through our final qualifier for RES here, and it's getting a bit heated. I mean, there's a 12-point difference between top 10, top 7. Top 6 currently qualifies you, so let's head right into the next game.
Game 5, and kind of like you were just alluding to, Takata, it is getting way too close for comfort when it comes to that leaderboard position, and so many teams that are still vying for their spots on the battle bus. Wolvax, Czar, Hostile Hold has certainly looked a bit hostile here today, but they're not going to go for that immediate 50-50 up against the likes of Pink and Haris. They've done such a good job, too, at essentially taking priority control of the building space, and yet things are just falling short by the time we get to the end games, Takata, because there is just so much action taking place, and it's just so difficult to try and avoid it all. But taking a risk, they've managed to find 1 3rd place finish on the day early on, and we still have 4 lobbies to work through, right? So there is plenty of opportunity for the comeback, looking to finish strong. Nice shots.
Yeah, Pans are not missing shots. Unfortunate for Monzi, but you said it yourself. 4 more matches, a lot can change. Despite 4 already being played, we're just halfway through. Saya Scary, not a great end to the last game. They were looking good, kind of finally bumping themselves into qualifying range, but then went down with just a 3-point game. 1 elimination, 19th. So we'll see if this time around they can actually kind of make it once again to that end game and show what they're truly capable of.
Not surprised to see Size and Scary looking to get a little bit more aggressive, though, up against the likes of Chuck and Velry, just looking to take advantage of those 3 points per elimination elements, and every little bit counts at this stage. But now they might have invited a little bit of aggression from Chuck and Velry. Sai is just, how far away are you from Scary? Will the backup be there? But no, instead,
Ooh.
Their heads are turned entirely into Yanis's direction. Valerie and Chuck, they had completely separate intentions. Not even fully sure that they might have even realized it was Science and Scary who were taking shots at them. They don't care. They're gonna opt to just take matters into their own hands here.
Yeah, switch focus on the duo. Sarb. Uh-oh. Quick aggression coming through onto Scary. Crash pad not gonna be enough, though, as the disengage comes through. Syas now has to be the next one to be careful. 2v1 coming through, only a matter of time. Gets boxed up, shot connects. And Syas is gonna go down, leaving Scary alone below. The reload's gonna be tough on this one.
And that was part of the risk associated with how Scary and Syas had just split the aggressive instance there. What initially was just them trying to scout for elimination onto Chuck and Velry has now turned into them having to try and play the defensive from another duo who is also trying to make up the difference in leaderboard points. Pixie and Swizzy, though. These guys have had an incredible day today, and I gotta give big shout out to their coach as well, Tezzy. They have clearly been doing their homework when it comes to the reload game mode, and they have seemingly figured out exactly what works best, and that consistency of success might even net them the first place on the day if they keep the ball rolling here.
They were about 80 points ahead last match, but now they're, I say just, but you know, a little over 40 points ahead of second place, so it did cut in half. Gap is getting closer and closer with Sky and Scroll's performance, but as you mentioned, they've just been playing incredibly well. So I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of continue to expand that as the games go on.
Can't afford to take your foot off the gas for even a second here, though. Because even if you start with some lights out performances, if you're not able to actually keep that momentum, is very quickly that other teams will look to play catch up and just overtake your position on the leaderboard. Focus Thomas chilling though for the time being.
Yeah, not too much action going on over there. Yapko Panzer though, some hiccup kind of came through. Panzer has no shield. Both players have about 3 to 5 HP. But hey, they're in zone. Nobody's pushing them, so it could always be worse.
Could also always be better. Glass half full sort of mentality, but Panzer and Yapko. Okay day. Nothing to really write home about, but when you are a team that is already qualified for the LAN, it's a little bit less pressure for that circumstance, but yeah, prize pool is still involved here, Takata, and you know that they would love to get the lion's share of it.
That they would. Is he no sip? Picking up a quick elim onto Zarb. Slurp truck, not even needed. As I guess they'll just continue playing zone here. They have more than enough mats. No rush at all to make it on in.
They might decide, though, to get themselves oriented a little bit earlier on. Recognize the fact, shots off in the distance, close enough for them to maybe third-party the action. But Velry, Chuck, they've already had the opportunity to try and heal back up on those shields. Even get a little bit of a look-back instance, see where things went so right here for Velry, and that's just an immediate tag team tackle against Wolvax. Nowhere really left to run, just fully boxed up with no escape plan, and now it's just about making sure that they don't fall victim to Izzy and Nosif, who were just behind their last position.
Now, Cringe and Volko, they've consistently got a decent amount of eliminations throughout the day, but placement points is where they're falling behind. They got top 10 in the first match of the day, but since then, 13th, 16th, 14th. Remember, it's top 15 when you start getting placement points, so they just have not been able to make it far in the late games. Momsy sky jump, though, looking to make something happen here. Panzer quickly gone down. Yapko put into panic as he tries to disengage as quickly as possible. But sky jump and Momsy are going to be happy with that refresh, and they just kind of loot up and keep on going.
Panzer, though, might just be running directly into the conveyor belt. He's not alone, though. Other players also having to take the reboot option here. But eliminations have definitely been building up, and we're just calling out the fact that Volko Cringe, they haven't had a problem finding the limbs, but now who they're actually taking out, Ju and Vidil, they have largely just been trying to play for position throughout today's matches. Only one game that they've actually had so far outside of top 6, which is a big part of the reason why they find themselves currently inside of the top 5 overall. But these early thorns in the side could be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, they've got some of the lowest average eliminations, but some of the best average placement. And with this hiccup now, we'll see if they can keep that trend going in terms of placement. Good news is, you know, they're in zone. There's not too many more players around them. And with Hellfire and Winter disengaging, you know, they'll have the bending as well.
Ju's got to slow play it. He knows that Hellfire and Winter, they don't realize that he's here currently over at your training still, but he has so much material that he has to refarm. And not only that, but even making it back into zone is going to be a challenge all in its own right. They're not the only ones facing it. Haris Pink, 555 currently. Material isn't the issue. The medkits aren't a problem either, but we've just seen so many games here today, Takado, where even by the time we reach first moving zone, we're still looking at no placement points really being factored in. Usually right around 10th, 11th zone is where we start to see the lobby just thin out, and it happens so rapidly too. 1 second, you're placing 16th, the next, you're watching like several other duos all of a sudden just fall. And it's just the quickness behind it, that it just caused so many problems, because nobody wants to be the first duo fully eliminated, but the smaller the zone gets, the more difficult it's going to be, and especially with half the lobby feels like spending so much time in the air with the launch pads, there's really not a whole lot of opportunity to try and extend your own lifeline.
Yeah, I mean, in the third match, we didn't even reach top 15 out of the 12 zones. In zone 11 is when we finally got top 15, the second to last zone, which is ridiculous. And in the blink of an eye, like you said, it can go from top 15 to top 10 to the game's over, right? So it's tough. You got to be hitting your shots. You got to be able to play aggressive when everybody's just everywhere and the chaos is unfolding. Pixie have been doing an incredible job at it, though. Consistent throughout the whole day. And it looks like they're going to continue that, not taking any risks early on. They've got more than enough loot, vending, everything they really need to continue pushing forwards.
Yeah, well, it seems like so many of other teams are really struggling to try and figure out, how do I make it into the top 5 as like a reoccurring instance. Swizzy and Pixie, they have totally encapsulated that. I mean, their worst placing game today being a 6th, and that was in the last lobby. That is just such an impressive performance. Every other placement has been top 3. So they've definitely got something figured out when it comes to this Reloads competitive meta. And now it's all about the rest of the class trying to play catch up to where they're at. Sky and Scroll are the closest to trying to overthrow them in that first place position on the leaderboard. But one shining star for the rest of the lobby is just knowing that we're looking at 3 teams that are already qualified for LAN in the top 3.
Pressure's going to get higher and higher for the teams outside the cutoff as we go on, but there's still a decent amount of time with 4 matches to be played out. Sharktini not feeling as much of it, kind of leading a lot of the time. 5 on the board already. Nothing really to worry about. What I'd be worrying about is being the players in the surrounding area.
If they win another Reload Elite Series Finals, though, that would just
That's gonna be ridiculous.
That would be insane. Just full control, aside from the one that they didn't make it into. That's just ridiculous scenes. But hey, locking back in now where Pixie and Swizzy are at. They haven't made their move just yet. A little bit too early for them to actually want to see if they can challenge for height. Most teams going to be waiting until right around 8th or 9th zone, I think, before they begin really trying to build themselves up.
Tune Vidil, you said it yourself. They've been playing all for that placement. not worrying too much about eliminations unless they have to. They had a hiccup going into this end game. Their mats are not as strong as they should be. But all it would take was one refresh, maybe a couple pad rotates. They can still make it happen.
Tough scenes though for Panzer. He'll be eliminated before getting the chance to touch down. Once everybody starts moving, it's hard to try and really figure out the timing because so many players just whizzing by off these overdrive grenades, and not to mention the ones that are going to opt for those launch pad rotations just make things very difficult. But Yanis, Rex, potentially trying to see if they can get a little bit more fraggy than some of their other duo counterparts, but Yanis scoping out the high ground, sees that it's not established just yet. This might be the perfect opportunity for them to make a move towards front side and not get fully lit up for it. Other teams now trying to beat them to the punch. Pink, Haris going to be one of those duos establishing on that front side position. Swizzy, Pixie continuing to try and just get a read on where the rest of the lobby is moving. We are headed towards some elevation here, Takada.
Yeah, gotta be careful. Swizzy, Pixie have the luxury of being able to wait a little bit though, as they're not right in the wave of the storm closing. Take a bit of time before using that overdrive for the rotate. Can they connect shots though? Not too much yet, as Yanis is up in the sky. Izzy Nosip continue to go on forwards, but Deal and Ju maintaining that consistent placement, not getting tagged once as they get closer and closer to the zone.
They're gonna need to force a fight here, and they might not have the luxury of picking and choosing. They're just gonna have to get active, and the lobby won't even give them the chance. Velry going to take out Vadil. The ball is exclusively in Ju's court now to try and determine how far can he really push his limits. Will he be able to actually find himself inside of the placements to begin with? Because there are still so many other teams that you have to try and factor in, and working through the solos is not going to be easy measure for anyone. So now Swizzy, Pixie, front side, theirs. A little bit based up, looking back.
As now the pads come through, all these players once again alluding to the pad rotate. So you gotta be careful though, if you're down below, you don't have a lot to work with. Good news is almost cap on mats for Vexy and Co as they continue to head on forwards. Ju though, they were doing just enough to stay in qualifying range, but if Ju goes down now, they're gonna have to lock in for the rest of these matches. Scary falls shortly after. Nosif up on height.
Now providing the opportunity for those teams in that 6th through 10th position to see whether or not they can actually overtake where Vadil and Ju were last seen. But Pixie, Swizzy, it's like time has slowed down. Every time that we actually catch a glimpse of these guys, they just don't look like they're working under any pressure. Dexy and Vito have done a great job too. Just staying inside the air. A little bit of fall damage for Shark. Slightly misstep, but still manages to catch himself. Just waiting to see who might be the first to look his way, but Height is just exclusively fixated on Shark right now. He is burning through his builds. Izzy and Nosif are not trying to let him have the easy way out.
Not at all. They do not want to let it slide as they continue to apply that pressure. Vexy, Hexby as well, looking to see if they can get on ahead. Their path has been blocked. They're forced to change a layer, but it's always dangerous. Rax now left alone. Show us why you're being talked about so much on EU. Show us why the expectations are so high. It's going to be difficult though. 5 mats, 19 HP. Placement points just started to kick in. This is where it matters most. Shark as well on the bottom half. Show us what it takes. Winning not just the first RES qualifier, but back-to-back with Teeny winning qualifier 1, qualifier 2. Now here at the final qualifier, Shark running low on mats. He's going to need to play for a refresh.
But it's all about Rax right now, whether or not he's able to actually stumble upon some body loot, or just how long can he actually keep himself in contention. No one has spotted out the fact that he's just been rolling around from inside of Chisel Cubes, but stuck just in front of the tunnels. He's gonna opt to take this path through. He's at the mercy of the zones at this stage of the game. That pullback, though, definitely gave him a big lifeline, as Shark won't be able to escape the pressure. Sky and Scroll have completely cut him off. is Fido, Dexy. They're last seen in the air. Now they're going to be seen on the high ground. Pink trailing off in the storm, trying to play catch up with the rest of the zone. But Rax, the moment he takes this ascender, someone is bound to look his way. And he's still looking up. Catch Me going to be the first to drop, but Rax doesn't connect. He needed that shot to hit for the refresh. And instead it's going to be Catch Me who gets a little bit of an advantage.
Still got 5 different placements though, from 15th to 10th for Rax. So overall, great job, Skrull and Sky, from winning the last match, looking to see if they can make it a back-to-back. They've gotten the builds, they've got the loot, but there's still 6 duos up, 11 players as they push up and up. Cringe Volko, this is a huge match. This is exactly what they were looking for.
It's been all about eliminations for them, but now they need a game that just converts into solid placements instead. Fido and Dexy seemingly heating up now, putting so much pressure onto these lower layers, making it very difficult for the likes of Robin to stay left standing here as a solo. Only 3 builds remain, opting to try and play out the medkits instead to buy whatever extra placements he can find. The moment he tries to go up though, Cringe, taken out. Skrull won't be able to survive it either, and just like that, the lobby is thinned out.
Dexy just living life up above, nothing to worry about, still in zone as Hellfire again with another heal off, but the sickness gets the best of him. Goes down to Storm as Dexy's left alone. Will he be able to make it to the vending? Will he be able to find any heal? 10 HP left, and no, Dexy goes down. Robin Glubchi are actually gonna close out this match and get the win.
The builds, those pre-existing builds just coming back to haunt them. They're not able to break through in time, but that's a big game right now for Robin and Glubshi, and they're not the only ones. The Victory Royale was sorely needed, but this is definitely going to have some very big impact on our leaderboard overall, because a lot of those leading teams that were looking for that top 3 placement, Takada, well, they might have been able to throw for it. So Frankie, Levin, Ari, what do you guys have to say?
Thank you so much. Vito and Dexy have been flirting with high ground all night long, and although they were able to take it, they weren't able to take the Victory Royale in the end. That one instead went to Robin and Glubshi, Harry.
Yeah, I mean, before this game, they were in 18th place, right? I think it's one of those things that you can have a rough start to the tournament and you can give up, but it's really good to see that they didn't decide to do that. We're halfway through, and you know, there's some teams after halfway through, they're on 250 points near enough. So it's very easy for them to get back into the point of qualification, and this is the start they needed.
Yeah, when you have the type of start these guys have had, you're looking for anything, just anything to sort of give you that boost of like, bro, like, we can still do this, you know? And there's nothing better than that, than a win, you know? And so from here on out, of course, we'll see whether or not they still have to deal with, you know, being contested or spawn, but ultimately, they couldn't have had a better game for their circumstances right now.
It was interesting to see Skyjump and Mumsy also managing to get off spawn in that situation they've had versus Robin and Glubshi all night, because it was a great match for them as well. But for Robin and Glubshi, given that they have got so far to go tonight, as you've already mentioned, Harry, 18th position, I'm itching to see how far this can take them up the leaderboard. We've got 3 games left, gentlemen, and 11, if you look at the top page of the leaderboard, if you cast your mind back to before game 5, it was being dominated by duos that have already qualified, by duos that we'd expect to already be qualified even.
Yeah, I think that game is going to make things a lot tighter at the top. We saw a lot of teams, you know, who sort of lower down, you know, really sort of jumping their way up there. So will be an interesting sort of couple games.
Well, let's jump into a break. When we come back, we will take a look at the updated leaderboard. welcome back. Before the break, we saw Robin and Glubsheet take a victory royale. They were towards the bottom of the leaderboard, but they've only gone up a few places, I believe. So let's just check out the leaderboard and see how far they have got to. And as you can see, they have not made it onto page 2 of the leaderboard, but we do have some incredibly consistent duos who are managing to challenge for those 3 remaining spots at the finals in Paris coming up in August. And you can see one of those is Skyjump and Mumsy. So far, Levin, they have been incredibly consistent, challenging in the end games, even if they aren't able to make it to the final VR.
Absolutely. I'm not going to lie. I'm a bit shocked that the 2 teams sort of above them, right? They're the ones that have sort of climbed into it, right? Whereas Skyjump and Mumsy going into this game were in that top 6. They had a spot, and it looked like they were going to sort of continue to solidify their spot, Harry. You know, you could see them sort of posturing for height. They were played in the storm. They went to tank. Unfortunately, they go up for height, and Dexy and Fito just, you know, took it from them, right? They had padded earlier, and so they couldn't hold it. Again, we've seen consistency from these guys, but we can see so easily how these things slip away from you.
Let's take a look at the... Oh.
No, I was just going to agree with him. That was all.
Yeah, no, good. Well, let's take another look at the leaderboard, because Levin had mentioned about the consistency of duos we're seeing so far. And Vito and Dexy, they missed out, Harry, on that last victory royale because they couldn't get to a vending machine in time to win the heal off. And a heal off, it feels like this is the meta endgame we're seeing tonight.
No, absolutely. I think with the addition of the launch pads and how people are playing them, it makes it so much harder for teams. You know, the teams who are playing Storm that we started to talk about at the start of today, it makes it harder for them to, you know, get those extra placement points. So for the teams who are, you know, more playing towards supply drops or, you know, trying to play for center zone, they're getting really deep into these end games just from being able to save a few medkits. And it's so interesting how, you know, even just taking height isn't enough now with how much is happening in these end games and just how much heal off is ending up happening. And I'll be interested to see if more teams decide, you know, we can't actually play Storm. We actually need to decide, you know, we need to save these medkits so we can actually, instead of, you know, getting a 6th or a 5th, actually get those wins.
Well, we've got a few more games to go tonight, so let's head into our next one with Taco and Takata.
Thank you guys so much. And yeah, the amount of heal-offs that have just been taking place in these endgame circumstances, Takata, it has made things very difficult in terms of being able to consistently determine what's going to actually end up, who's actually going to end up with the Victory Royale. And with so much taking place, a lot of our leading duos that were initially looking for those qualifying spots now being pushed just out of the qualifying range. So things are looking a little bit dicey here. Nothing is guaranteed for those teams still hunting for the qual spot. So we'll see what happens next here in Game 6.
When we kicked off the day, you know, I feel like these matches were ending quite quickly. It was just a big fight where it was like 5 duos and instantly someone wins the game. And these last 2, there's just been more and more heal-offs as the day goes on. You mentioned as well, duos kind of dropping out of qualifying range. Thomas HD Focus is one of them. Hopefully they can lock in for these next 3 games. Haris Pink, on the other hand, trying to work their way into qualifying range at 114 points. The gap is getting wider and wider, currently at 168. Kind of gonna make something happen here.
Right around that stage where you almost have to contemplate, is it worth committing the same strategy you've been working with, or do we try to mix things up? And in the case of reloads, the risks that are usually involved is going to be just trying to key elsewhere on the map. Thomas Focus taking matters into their own hands. When you think about how far they've been pushed down the leaderboard just from one, or actually it's been 2 games here today that they've fallen outside the placement points range. And when you don't have eliminations to go with it, it's just been very hot and cold from this duo all day long, and that just goes to show for such a strong team with so much potential behind them. We've seen what they're capable of, and yet here in Reload Elite Series Finals, it's a dog-eat-dog world. And also when you're splitting a drop with Sky and Scroll, a duo that's already confirmed, and having to deal with the likes of other teams kind of sneaking into the vicinity, it's tough scenes. But Madil, they'll waste no time taking out Winther. Wherever Hellfire's at, he needs to stay hidden for a couple moments longer. He's trying to make sure that he escapes from the clutches of Vadil and Ju, because they cannot afford an early elimination right now.
Not at all. We saw the hiccup that Vidil and Ju went through in the last match. They were doing just enough to kind of put themselves in qualifying range, but once you have one bad game after doing just enough, it quickly drops you out of that qualifying range. So good job being able to pick up Winther there, but wonder how that's going to continue.
Sneaky plays are always bound to unfold at this stage. Sarba and Wolvex quite a long ways from home right now. Hostile hold. It's a little bit too problematic. So they decided to extend their range elsewhere. But for Skyjump and Momsy, man, today is really going to be difficult, I think, for them. I think it's a mental battle as well that they're going to have to try and overcome here, because you have to think all the way back even to that first Real Elite Series finals. Momsy just one placement off. Although back then, having duoed with Sato for that Real Elite Series finals, and now here today, technically in contention, but it's about maintaining it. And for Momsy and Skyjump, that's where the pressure really starts to build up here, because Momsy's already had it within his grasp one time here before. You don't want to miss it again and again and again. You want to finally bring it home.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, 168 literally being the cutoff. It's when you start feeling that weight on your shoulders get heavier and heavier, with the potential to, you know, represent in Paris. You really want to be able to get the job done. We look on over to Darm and Deemish. They had an incredible pop-off game recently. Can they get another?
Well, things are not necessarily going to be that clear-cut, but the way that Size and Scary are very vocally unhappy with the intrusions of Darm and Deemish and where they're landing. Size and Scary are definitely willing to try and pick a little bit of a fight here. Some of Poland's finest. So Spain versus Poland almost feels like the World Cup here for a second, but hey, I think ultimately, whoever wins that exchange, it's probably going to lean a little bit more towards Darm and Deemish's favor, because they are the team that's already qualified for the LAN. You have to remember that.
That's true. The confidence is there. You don't want to be poking the Lion's Den when they have nothing to lose. Robin Glubchi. Great heal off in the last game. Issue is, every game prior to that, not really the best. So hopefully they can keep the momentum from the win going forward for the next 3 matches, because it's what they're going to need if they want to qualify.
Well, they've definitely got an uphill battle to go, and they're one of the teams that they can't take it slow. They have to sprint their way up that hill. They want to put themselves into a real contending factor for it. But Darm, Deemish, still hanging around. Fearless Pierre. Solid loadouts, but they are definitely no foreigners to fighting. They have been hunting out battles ever since they were able to actually be participants to the lobby. Because now Wolvex and Czar hunting down Yanis. Again, anytime players are seen in that reboot, it just becomes an unfortunate sequence of events here, where oftentimes they are just going to be chased to the ends of the earth. It's just too free to get those elimination points, and poor Rax just has to sit idly by and hope that he doesn't get sniffed out.
Ça Dôme, on trouvera sur place.
We'll see. Yanis
Je sais pas s'il y a des sites
try and get away from here as quickly as possible. Issue is going right towards Darm.
Ouais, c'est ça, quoi. C'est
And Works does not want to let that slide. Quickly changes the aggression to Darm, though. He's been cracked. Now pressure is put on, as both players might have to do a quick reset here.
Ah ouais, parce que...
Deemish, Darm, grouped up below. Builds already been placed. No longer quite worth it.
On verra, de toute façon.
Continue
On
the
sera
aggression.
crevé aussi. Oh, bah,
It's actually a huge win, though, for Janis and Rax. Sure, Janis had to be a victim one more time, but at the same time, Rax was able to create a little bit more space. Yanis actually has an opportunity to play his life off of the reboot. Darm and Deemish sort of intervening with the constant build-up there for Zarb and Alex, who were hoping to just keep accruing those elimination points, and it's just not going to be that easy. Other teams are going to be drawn towards the noise. And with that in mind, Shark, Teeny, 219 points. See them with 2 eliminations. We'll get an opportunity to check back, see how that actually went. Poor Izzy, just unsuspecting.
quick.
That patented Teeny strategies, though. After all, when you really boil it all down, if you're gonna see a lurk play happen on unsuspecting victim, it's usually Teeny who's going to be on the other end of these, taking someone out.
Don't interrupt someone eating their pizza, all right? It's never gonna go well. Beamish Darm, 4 on the board now. Slowly racking them up once again. Glubchi Robin, been in the storm most of this match as Beamish kind of gets closer and closer. They are gonna build around the vending. Getting sneaked up on though. This could be detrimental to Glubchi and Robin. They came from a win. They do not want to go down early here in the top 20 as the shots come through. No knocks yet, as they do have full metal. Nice little piece up from Beamish, but he is not going to be able to connect. He put his opponent in the cone, fully shielded him from all shots, and is actually going to be the one that goes down. The tables have turned. It's now a 2 versus 1 for Robin and Glubchi as Darm has been put into panic.
Surprised that Darm's even opting to back off, though, because Robin and Glubchi, sure, they might have survived. Sure, one of them got the siphon, but they were not healthy. Darm had put down so much pressure alongside Deemish, but they'd rather choose a little bit of a pause here. That is best case scenario, though, for Robin and Glubchi. The fact that they were actually able to defend their position. And now they've got Darm and Deemish fully split. With bending control, they can choose to take their time.
That's crazy. Zarb and Wolvax finding Deemish as he glided back in. Unfortunate. Darm now once again has to get his teammate back. It's going to be long for them, but they don't want to stagger too much more in zone. They are going to start wanting to rotate in as Robin and Glubchi somehow went from getting snuck up on to getting an elim and now making it towards zone with more mats. Shark left alone as Teeny has gone down, despite Teeny prior to this picking up, I believe, Izzy. Now the 1v2.
Yeah, but unlike most players that would opt to run away from this, Shark is usually one of the first to dive right in to a 2 versus 1 engagement, especially because he likely knows just how injured Izzy and Nosif actually are. Teeny's gotten a couple eliminations off of them. Teeny even opting to beat himself out, but Shark not able to find the angle that he was hoping for. Instead, left to play on the defensive. Just looking to see if he can create a little bit of space here now. He has to buy some time to get Teeny back up and running off the reboot. But for Izzy and Nosif, some nice elimination points in return. And that's going to be enough. They have sent Shark and Teeny packing, and they're going to opt to try and leave, but they don't get the choice. Shark actually picking right back up where he left off, just when you think that Izzy and Nosif actually have a chance to run away from this. It was all about the repositioning here from Shark, the cutoff. Just a smart play.
It's crazy. We still have every single player up in the lobby. Reload and reboots will be disabled once the 7th zone appears, but you can tell that the pressure is definitely on as we get closer and closer to the end of the last Reload Elite Series qualifier.
And it's more problematic too for these teams that recognize the fact that even with some of these land qual players already being inside of the top 3 positions on the leaderboard, they're still willing to try and see who's going to actually be first. So they're not slowing down by any means. They're still playing it very aggressively. Sky Scroll, 2 eliminations, just trying to dictate whether or not they want to try and pick up a few more. The deal in Jew, overdrive grenade overhead of where Sky and Scroll were just at. Would be very surprised they don't get punished slightly for it. Is now Pink and Haris. They need a big conversion game here. Doesn't necessarily have to be the 90 points that we saw earlier from Shark and Teeny, but at least a top 5 placement would go a huge way for them.
Yeah, I mean, even though they have 3 matches left, they're starting to fall kind of far enough behind the cutoff where if they don't have a big point game, it is just going to be incredibly difficult moving forwards in the last 2 matches. So, like you said, hopefully a top 5, anything to get them closer and closer to that cutoff. Hellfire Winter, though, incredible performance from these two. Excited to see if they can continue pushing forwards. 182 points, sitting comfortably in qualifying range. Great mat count here. But as we've mentioned before, still a long way before placements hit.
Still very impressive, though, how well Hellfire and Winter's chemistry has looked as of late. Whether it's Div Cups or whether it's these Reload Elite Series finals, they have been making their presence known. As Izzy will pay the ultimate price here. That little bit of a slowdown between themselves and Sharkantini has just caused so many problems in the long term. And Shark, one more time, you can see exactly where he just continues to chip away at Izzy and Nusif. Big part of the reason why they're just struggling in this lobby.
Yeah, it's not good looks. On the contrary, Vito Dexy, 175 points, right above that top 6, currently sitting in 5th. And a great position as well. Zone pulls back, a bit of elevation. There's going to be no issue for this duo as they can just wait patiently.
Problem, though, is that Swizzy and Pixie are still rolling around in this lobby, and if there's one thing they've been doing excellently, it's just looking to try and commandeer height, and whenever they've been in control of it, those are the lobbies that we tend to see teams struggling to actually opt for that heal-off feature because they've been applying such consistent pressure. So if they're still left standing, by the time these zones start closing in, thinking more towards that 10th, 11th era, we might not necessarily be able to witness teams have the opportunity to play for the heal loss. But Janice, Rax, they're just looking to play their own life. Big knock here for Rax, but he needs the siphon to come through, and he doesn't get it in time. Janice, left to his own devices now, will have to try and figure out, is it worth going back for the body loop? But instead, he's going to send himself forward. He can't actually pick up any of the materials from his duo or even that other body off of Zarb, and Hellfire has fallen. Winter now left scrambling. Solos all across the board.
No elims on the board. This would be a 0-point game if Winter goes down now. He needs to clutch up here if they want to stay in qualifying range. Cannot afford to get eliminated. 200 wood. It's going to be 21 builds to work with. Gonna have to use basically this whole Flowberry Fizz to just get half of his shield back. Darm Demish holding height. But in the meantime, a lot of players still in the clouds.
And we've seen what happens to those teams within the top 5 when they have that early departure with no placement points. Thinking back, the deal, Jew, Focus, Thomas, the way that they just rapidly fall outside of that qualifying range. But it also brings to the surface, brings to light Mumsy, Skyjump. Big opportunities here now to try and create a little bit of a gap. Really try and find themselves comfortably nestled into that leaderboard contention spot. But Demish, Darm, well aware of all these teams overhead. Swizzy, Pixie, they're gonna have to drop all the way through. Sky, Scroll, right after the fact. Everybody cutting those zips as quickly as possible. But Demish, Darm, under pressure now. Shark, Teeny, looking to challenge and take it out.
Both duos, nothing to lose as the fight continues. Shark and Teeny will be the ones that overthrow height. Are Darm and Demish gonna go back for it? Yes, they are. Shots getting connected onto Teeny. He's been fully cracked. Meanwhile, Fido Dexy down below in their own little battle here.
They're trying to find whatever nook of safety makes itself apparent. No builds left for Fido. It's all down to whether or not Dexy can come up. A huge shot call here. Maybe the duo just a little bit more scuffed than they are. Provide them with that refresh. The siphon materials will go a long ways here, but Mumsy, Skyjump, they'll opt to just continue playing through front side of zone. Pixie, Swizzy lurking about in these mid layers, just slightly elevated off that ultimate low. And it's going to provide them the opportunity now to look at maybe possible floor chop from unsuspecting teams just directly overhead. Dexy has lost Fido though, and that means he'll be left to try and struggle through this one by his lonesome. Scroll dropping right in front of him though. That body loot could go a long ways.
Sharkantini back in business despite losing height. They are all healed up once again. In the contrary, Scroll on his knees lost his teammate, but the retake from Sharkantini, they're not going to let it last long, as once again, they're back above, in control of height.
They're gonna Volko and Cringe towards front side zone. Momsy sky jump. They're gonna take out Ju. Vadil is also eliminated here. That is a tough blow for the leaderboard. As Sky, one more time, trying to run it back as a solo in this lobby. Shark and Teeny, rockets overhead. Rest of the lobby doing what they can, forced to drop just another layer or two. They can't afford to try and cut off the line of sight there from Shark and Teeny. Sky, ventling overhead. One more build left to his name, and he'll be forced to use it early on. As now, Height refusing to let him budge. Volko and Cringe are gonna get the credit for it, and they'll be happy to claim those elimination points.
Exactly what they needed. Cringe now bumped himself up to 164 points, but he's got to make the solo clutch happen if he wants to put himself in qualifying range. But with the chaos unfolding, 2 HP to work with. Cringe, you got to make something happen here. Panzer knocking on his door. Will he be able to connect the shot? Does not take it yet as Swizzy goes down to Shark. 6 on the board already. They want to close this out. They're tired of the heal-offs. They know how to play aggressive. They're looking to finish it with an E-limit. Sky jump down below. Will he be able to connect? It's too difficult with the 1v2. Shark and Teeny close the match out. Get that VR, and they show once again why they won back-to-back Reload Elite Series qualifiers.
Look, but there are some huge implications that are about to take place for these leaderboard standings. I'm really excited to kind of get into the thick of it here, Takada, because we are seeing duos that desperately needed those points, finding the placements that they were hunting for. But great job for Shark and Teeny, finding that victory royale. Frankie, all down to you guys.
Thank you so much. It must have been so terrifying to be sky jumped then, knowing that there was a duo hunting you down. And let's face it, if you do the maths, if you're a player in this lobby, you know it's probably going to be Shark and Teeny 11.
It's the trend today. These guys, they are just continuing to showcase why they've been so impressive. But I think the key thing here is obviously they were in third going into that game. The blueprint for these guys has just been so clear, Harry, as far as how they are approaching these end games. They want to take height as soon as we get towards the sort of final moving zones, and they're just so hard to beat when they do go up for it. I mean, they're just clinical, you know. It's like when you have a striker who you just know is just gonna bag the goal. That's what these guys do whenever they go up for height.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you get an RPG off spawn, right? It's basically guaranteed that they're going to go for height, and it's just the amount of eliminations they get when they're on height as well. Is, you know, you'll see teams who will just spray down, you know, pressure the lobby, make sure that the rest of the lobby fights themselves, and, you know, they pick up the victory royale, but they'll take it by force, you know. They'll go and get all the eliminations themselves. An 11 elimination win allows them to be in contention for the win, and I'm excited to see what the leaderboard is looking like.
I am just excited to see the complete and utter lack of disrespect that these players show to anyone in the lobby. Loving seeing them fighting Demons and Dawn for high ground as well. More of that, please, in our final 2 games. We're going to take a short break. Join us in a few minutes for more of a breakdown of that last game.
cut back too fast. Oh, oh, just like that. I see a dub in my future stats. Oh, I know a place you can go. The doghouse outside my massive abode. It's lovely, it's cushy, and sometimes it's cold. And watch me get this gold. Oh, I just want it all. I just want it all. Bounce, bounce back. Said you want it all, but you want it all. Said you want it all. Bounce back. Said you want it all, but you want it all. I can have it all. If you knock me down, I'll move to the floor. I just got my goal. Oh, bounce back. I just want it all. I just want it all. I'll keep bouncing. Yeah, I'm bouncing back. Yeah, I'm bouncing back. I keep coming back. I can't hold it back. Yeah, I'm bouncing back. I keep coming back. Yeah, I'm bouncing back. I can't hold it back. Yeah, I'm bouncing back. I keep coming back. Yeah, I'm bouncing.
2 more games to go before we lock in the European duos for Paris for the Reload Elite Series finals. And Skyjump and Mumsy are desperate to play in front of their home ground, and they're making an incredible showing of it, Levin, right now. They're so consistent in making it to the end games. They're also the second highest in the lobby for average eliminations behind Shark and Teeny, which is incredibly impressive. Consistency tells me we are going to see them make it, but Levin, I could be wrong. Am I speaking too soon?
J'ai pas eu le
He
classement.
tells Shark and
Il faut faire des points là, c'est pas possible.
Because, yeah, man, it's not looking too good further down
Yeah.
the leaderboard. But focusing on Skyjump and Mumsy, I mean, these two, I mean, when we talk about talent and people who have impressed us throughout the year, I think you'd have to have these two up there as far as French duos goes, and just duos in general in EU. And so, if they can keep this up and hold on, it'd be a worthy team to make it.
Comment ça, c'est un écran
Yeah,
noir?
for sure. I
Pas
think the
normal,
one
ça.
interesting thing about them is in Battle Royale, they've actually split as a duo, right? They're not actually playing together anymore. They're playing with a mixture of Akira and Kurama. So seeing this as like a last dance between them and maybe even getting to play in front of the home crowd, there's no better way to sign it off.
That's so interesting. Yapko and Panzer, another duo who have
Je
stuck
vais
together
essayer
because they
de
have
régler
qualified for
ça.
Paris, but have gone their separate ways in terms of FNCS. And maybe it is just a case of needing a different partner for a different style of gameplay.
What the
Can we
fuck?
bring up the leaderboard again, if that's possible? Because I just want to look at that top 10. If you look at the points, it's actually incredibly close, even as you head on to page 2 as well. From 17 to 5, things can really change. I didn't know we could do that production. That was snazzy. Dharma and Demas, Yapko and Panzer already qualified. So while it's disappointing for them at the moment, they know that they're through. But if we look at Focus and Thomas, Pink and Chris, if they have a fantastic game, they could still potentially get within the top 6, Coach Harry. Izzy and Nosif, maybe them too.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it is with Reload, I think it's very easy for you if you get the right loot off spawn and, you know, you get into the right situation in endgame just to get a pop-off game, to get enough eliminations like we just saw Shark and Teeny do to, you know, obviously they're stabilizing themselves at the top of the leaderboard. But for the rest of the teams, it's, you know, something you aim for is like, if you can take high ground, you can pressure the lobby and get those eliminations that way. It's very easy, well, not easy, but it can be done that you can jump up the leaderboard with a pop-off game for sure.
And yeah, I feel like, Levin, we haven't had
plus le
any
cas, hein,
outliers
peut-être.
like we sometimes have in FNCS, where a duo comes out of nowhere and takes a victory royale.
Ouais, non,
Tonight,
ok,
Levin,
wow.
I feel
Merci
like
de m'avoir
we're
dit.
seeing the same duos making it to the end game, game after game.
Yeah, but we did also just have Robin and Glubshoe in a game, right? So I think there is potential for teams to come out of nowhere, and ultimately, you don't want to leave it too late. We have these final 2 games coming up. You have to make them count.
Yeah, you absolutely do. So let's head into game 7.
Thanks, Frankie. There's a lot of potential, but there's also a lot of nerves now. I mean, early on, it's 8 total matches. Yeah, we still got 6. We still got 5, 4, 3. Now we only have 2 matches left. This is where you have to make it count. You have to set yourself up for that last match. You don't want to go in to the game needing a win. You want to go in comfortably, either in that qualifying range or at least really close to it, Taco. And the good news is we're ready to go. So let's head into the second
Ay,
match.
come on.
As much as basically every non-qualified LAN team would love to not be in a position of victory royale or bust at these last couple of lobbies, Takata, that is sadly the circumstances for one team too many. Big eyes on for Focus, Thomas, Pink, Riz, Izzy, Nosa, Aries team, but also the likes of even Vidil, Ju, Cringe, Volko. This leaderboard is just way too stacked. There are so many teams that are all fighting for those last 3 positions on the battle bus for the Reload Elite Series LAN, and it's just not going to come easy by any stretch of the imagination. They're going to have to put everything out there to try and see whether or not they can overtake.
Putain.
Scroll with a quick Elam onto Focus. This is the last thing you want to see if you're Virtus Pro watching right now. Thomas HD Focus have yet to qualify. This is the last chance for them to, and they have been slowly falling down that leaderboard. 11th place going into this match. Oof. I don't even want to know the mental right now from them. Hellfire, Winter, they're comfortably in top 6, but if they go down here, that will quickly change.
Problem though for Hellfire and Winter is that they just found themselves getting pushed out from the last lobby. That 16th place finish has ultimately resulted in them being in a position now where they cannot afford another stumble. If Adil and Ju take them out here and now, it is disaster class, and Ju with the first strike, the elimination, and now Vidil and Ju have confidently made sure that Hellfire and Winter are really going to have to work for it for the remainder of this tourney.
You know, not close to any players yet. This is a team that have been kind of sitting in that qualifying range, but just on the cusp. As Storm and Demish, quick fight onto Skyjump Momsy. Don't want to go down here being in 4th, but I mean, Skyjump Momsy having 240 points. They're looking quite good. Momsy's gonna just have to wait for his teammate to go on back in now. I'm wondering if they were kind of doing one of the split drops, but for now, Demish Storm, they're not done. They're just gonna start with their momentum here as Valerie falls without being knocked.
Tough scenes for some of our contenders here today. I'm thinking more so about what just happened to Skyjump and dealing with the likes of Demish Darm, because they don't look like they're slowing down. They're just bulldozing their way through every single lobby that they're able to play into. Fido and Dexy, they got to keep their wits about them while they find themselves currently in that 5th place position on the leaderboard, which is within the top 3 for qualifying range, factoring out our current LAN winners. But Fido, Dexy, getting off on the right foot means putting Hellfire and Winter back into the blender. This duo has just been in a world of hurt from the start here.
Lot of different teams in the mix-up here. Yapko Panzer, Hardware, fullbacks. Gotta be careful as Yapko puts on the pressure now. Shots from above. Potential third parties in the surrounding area. You don't want to get cracked here, as one Elam is going to be picked up. Is it going to be enough for them to kind of play it a little slower now, as Zarb is kind of forced to do what he can and escape, but Saya Scary will catch him off guard. In the meantime, Haris still just kind of lurking by.
Nobody is safe. Pink
6.
and Haris have just been dealing with it non-stop. The third-party issues and Size and Scary, this is kind of just the dominoes effect of what's been taking place between them and Demish Darm. And now that's going to leave Haris in a position where he has to just retreat from hostile hold entirely. But you're already playing inside the storm. You're already hunting for scraps on the map. And it's just never going to be an easy feat to try and contend with the likes of not only recuperating lost loot, lost material, but also these other competitors just taking each other out. Focus won't win the trade up against Nosif. And Izzy right there to back him up. Thomas sent packing. Sky and Scroll, the damage has been done. All they really needed to do was just get that initial shutdown effort, and Team Darm just still hunting out the Frenchies. Fortunately for Skyjump and Mumsy, at least in that last lobby, Takata, they were able to create a bit of a buffer zone. 239 points in that 4th place position compared to Fido and Dexy, who are looking at 193. You want to believe that they've done enough to be able to maintain their spot for the land qual.
You want to, you really do, but with 2 matches left and just kicking things off here in the second to last one, so much can still change. It's still way too close for all of these teams. Shark Teeny, a little less to worry about as we move on over to Syaz. Scary, but Momsy with the big shot connecting. He took the 1v1, but Scary will avenge his teammate and be able to pick up Syaz, now marking their 7th elimination of the match. This could be a big game.
And a big game is exactly what they're going to have to create, because they don't have a whole lot of time left to work with here. They are far down on the leaderboard. We're starting off in that 17th place position, Takata, so they have a ton of work cut out for them if they truly want to play catch with the rest of the lobby. But 7 eliminations, definitely one way to get the party started. Still, it's every single elimination, it's just not going to feel like it's enough for Size and Scary. And for Momsy, great job at least holding his own, buying enough time here, forcing Scary and Size to have to take a second to actually play for the revive.
Vexy and Co. currently in 6th place. They are the cutoff going into this match. Puts a lot of pressure on your shoulders, but as you can tell, not a lot of aggression wanted to come from this duo. If we look at their previous matches, they've, you know, averaged around 2-3 eliminations, and some of them didn't get any at all, so they're not one of the most aggressive duos we've seen today. But in the last 3 matches, they've made top 10 in every single one, so whatever switch up they kind of had after the start of the day, it's clearly been working.
But to play devil's advocate to that, if you're a team that's just consistently playing a little bit more towards the reactive side versus being proactive, versus being one of those teams that's kind of taking affairs into your own hands, looking for those consistent stream of eliminations, when you're just looking to only play for the placement, you are a little bit more vulnerable to the team surrounding you and just getting way more aggressive, because you're kind of like a sitting duck. And sure, maybe that's worth it, but I think it just invites a lot more attention than what you would believe, because teams are going to notice, especially teams like Darm and Deemish that have just been on a tearaway. They are not looking to slow down. They have just been full speed ahead since they first got into the lobby, and it's been like that for every single lobby they participated in.
Yeah, it's difficult though, because at the same time, you know, if you're constantly looking for those eliminations, could get third party after third party coming through. I mean, it is reload, so you can always go back in, but it reaches a point where you just kind of are scuffed in the end game. You just don't have enough loot, don't have enough mats, and you don't want to put yourself in that position. But you know, Sky and Scroll, they're having a great time here. They're more than comfortable in 3rd place right now, already qualified. Quick dance, not too much to worry about.
Smooth seas ahead for these two. Can't blame them. Prize pool is nice, sure, but we know what to expect. We know that the standards that they have consistently delivered on. It's definitely a much different vibe, though, in comparison to what Size and Scary have been contending with. A little bit of evil Fortnite at bay. 8 eliminations now in total. Trying to split the pizza, figure out what they want to carry moving forward. But definitely kind of expecting them to look for even more eliminations here.
The thing about Saya Scary is, you know, I look back at Major 1, they can have some flops here and there, right? They have kind of bad games, but their pop-off games, when they're popping off, like, they're popping off, all right? They're getting huge amounts of eliminations. They're getting a win or even a top 3. So I'm hoping, and this is one of those times where they really show what they're capable of. You know, they've had rough matches leading into this, but as we've seen, one big game is more than enough, especially now, to bump yourself up.
Vendil and Jew. They've got Haris and Pink completely in their sights, and they're not the only ones looking at where Pink and Haris are at. This is a very tough spot to be in. Not really a whole lot of room for Pink and Haris to actually work with here. And they've also got to deal with the likes of Sky and Scroll directly next to them. Maybe gonna opt to build out just a bit, try and figure out. Do think that Haris was able to grab some of the leftover materials from that loot pile, but even still, they are just left in a bit of a desperate position. This is quite the pickle to be in. Just so many teams surrounding them that have practically nothing to lose by eliminating them.
We'll look back over at Cringe and Volko. They've been looking good. These last two matches, they've been looking real good. A 5th place, a 3rd place, good amount of elims. Hopefully they can keep it up though, as they're not really looking to play much more aggressive. They've already done what they needed to in this early game. You can kind of tell that, you know, it's a different vibe in this match compared to the last ones. It's just a lot more quiet. Not as much noise, not as many fights. As the clock's ticking and we continue on. Once the 7 zone of beers, reloads are disabled as well. 16 duos up, a lot less than we've seen before. And what a zone pull for Cringe and Volko.
It's not too surprising to see that little bit of stop and go though. Teams, ooh, right as I'm speaking, that drone shot just showcasing all of it. Winther and Hellfire immediately taken into the center of a focal point of aggression here, and Panzer, Yepko, they won't waste any time. That's going to be clear eliminations across the board for Hellfire and Winther. They have just been going through it since the start, and things did not get easier. Now they have to bank entirely on lobby number 8, the final match of the day, to see whether or not they can actually confirm their position for that land qualification spot. This is going to give such a big opportunity, though, for the teams underneath them on the leaderboard, though, to try and play catch up. And one of them being Thomas and Focus. They have got to drop a huge game here, and they cannot afford an early departure. Relying on that game 8 performance, it's just too much of a risk factor, and they would likely also be at the mercy of other teams gutting before them.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't even really seen them in the late games in the past 2 matches. They were always trying to play for kind of the best position, even if it meant playing a bit more aggressive. But recently they haven't even been able to make it that far, and the pressure is just not stopping. Thomas gets knocked, Focus is cracked. The rotate has not gone their way. All they have left is the last match of the day, and they might have to win it. Taco Pradelaj in a similar situation goes down shortly after.
Madil and Jew were just eating there for a moment. They had the full positional advantage. Focus and Thomas just got stopped in their tracks by where Trexer and Pradaj were at, and trouble still brewing here for Teamy and Shark, but again, just one of those duos with literally nothing to lose aside from a little bit of prize pooling. They've been trying to go toe-to-toe with Swizzy and Pixie all day long here, as now Mumsy Skyjump, they just want to continue establishing themselves inside of the leaderboard for the qualification range.
Scary just about making it in, as Yapko Panther are going to follow shortly after. Vito Dexy, 205 points now on the board, looking very healthy as they make their rotate on in, right on top of Darm's box. No fight's going to break out though.
Vito and Dexy, they might have to force the issue here. Material count just running a little bit too low. Sky Scroll from underneath though. We can see Haris and Pink now in their whole world of trouble. Pink left as a solo. Not even sure how much longer he'll be left standing with the way the lobby is kind of just closing in on itself. Opportunities are wearing thin here. Saya, Scary, looking back. You've got a duo that's relatively healthy, trying to now send themselves towards that front side of zone. Ju and Vadil actually want to be some of the first on height. Sharktini won't get the chance just yet, but Saya is Scary. Trouble now in the midst for Swizzy and Pixie, as the Spaniard's going to look to take him out.
I like what I'm seeing. It's starting to smile a bit here as Saya Scary continue on forwards, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. 163 is what they're at. Juvadil, one in. You were saying it, Taco. Just getting enough placements isn't gonna do it. You need those eliminations. You need to make the most out of it in these last matches, and that's exactly what they're going for here, continuing to hold on to height.
Very smart by Badil there too, already anticipating that the chop was going to take place, so just sending himself upwards off the overdrive grenade, making it very difficult for anybody to actually challenge too for the high ground. Sai is scary, also maybe handling a little bit of dirty work for them, trying to see if they can chop out Dexy and Fido, but Dexy doing a great job just holding the floor, holding steady, trying to scale down the hillside here, but Ju and Badil from way up overhead won't be able to get a glance towards this backside of zone instance from Mumsy and Skyjump. They're able to kind of slow play it a bit here though, but they always have to be so cautious of what might be directly in front of them. Every single pre-existing build that's not theirs could just work against them with the player waiting on the other side of the wall.
Despite losing Shark early on, Teeny is still getting the job done. Now the issue is though, he's ran low on mats, he's ran low on heals. Player's going right into his box, but it doesn't matter. 1 HP is what he's left with. Can he get the siphon? No, he goes down. Vadil and Ju continuing to hold on to height. Sayas Scary looking healthy as well. Fido Dexy trying to make their way back up, but with 0 builds, Fido's stuck. All he has is a med kit. I don't think he's going to be able to make it back.
It's just going to be however many placements that medkit can actually buy him. But for Scary and Sayas, they've actually made their way towards the high ground. They don't have a whole ton of builds to work with, but it might not matter. Fido, the moment that he goes up, he's immediately met by Yapko and Panzer, but it seems like he still had to play a little bit of spoiler there, as now Yapko, Vexy, trying to play their heals from inside of the back of Storm, but Ju and Badil, as a duo, now on the low ground, might be able to cause some trouble here, but instead it's trouble that finds Badil. Ju knows that he's got to find every little bit of placement he can, but this is a solid position to be in. He's at least got the medkit to work with.
In the blink of an eye, the whole lobby is gone. I think there's just 3, 4 duos left. 6 players, Asias and Scary, looking to make it happen. They were falling far behind the cutoff. They needed a big match, and this could be the one. They have the upper hand in terms of positioning. They just cannot lose this 2v2 as Nosif with a big connect. Izzy now trying to make it happen. The pressure from above, though, it's not stopping. Ju has overthrown them. Scary now drop below, put into panic as Ju's trying to clutch this one up. 231 points, launching himself up the leaderboard, but he goes down. Sayas falls shortly after, and Nosif and Izzy, I know Harry's licking his lips right now, smiling as his prediction just won the second to last match.
Harry's gonna have some choice words for Levin on the desk, that I'm sure of, but more importantly still, Takada, we just keep seeing constant mix-ups for what's going to actually be the overall impact on the leaderboard. Yes, we know that the teams that are already qualified for LAN are going to help with the rollover positions, but for everyone else, it's time to see what exactly is going to take place. But for Izzy and Nosif, first victor around the day, a big kudos to them. But Frankie, Levin, Harry, what's up next?
Well, what's up next for Harry is gloating to Levin, because Harry, you highlighted Izzy and Nosif as a duo to watch. They were 14th going into this one, so it's uncertain as to whether they've done enough with that victory royale, and it hasn't been easy for Izzy so far. But Harry, they managed to do it, so props to you for highlighting this duo.
I'm not taking any credit, with how they performed most of today. I feel like anyone could say, maybe it's not the day for them, but they've had a few pop-off games. There was another second place earlier in the day, right, where, it was a similar type of, formula. Play through low ground, get to a position where height gets chaotic and trying to capitalize. Didn't work in that game, but this game it did. And all that really is happening is there's just so many solos with how chaotic the games are, that they're just picking up, and it's just those cypher mats just continually going over and over and over again, just getting them to a point where they don't even need to build on low ground. The chaos is happening above them, and they're just going to get the free refreshes and eliminations from it. And to be honest, it looks easy, but it's really hard to be able to maintain low ground for that long. And hopefully going into game 8, now they're in a position where they can actually put themselves in a spot to be in front of their home crowd at the LAN.
No, absolutely. I think we saw sort of Swizzy and Pixie do it in game 2, and we sort of highlighted it then, as far as like, if you can just full top out on low ground in some of these games, you're going to be in a situation where you can get a bunch of elims and sort of really make it deep. So props to them. Still, I think they still got a bit to do as far as securing their spot, but a very, very impressive, it's not a start, right? We're here in game number 7, right? But a revival, we'll call it.
Yeah, a last dance in a sense. We've got one more last dance for all of these duos before we lock in our European duos for Paris. So don't go anywhere. It's going to get incredibly tense after this break. Welcome back to the Fortnite Reload Elite Series qualifier final. This is our 4th and final qualifier, and after this game, we'll know which duos will be presenting us in Paris. I'm so sorry. Rep B be representing us, of course, because the tension is on now. We've already got 9 duos locked in, so there are a lot of worried duos anxious about their fortunes in game number 8. So let's take a look at the leaderboard now and see who's currently in contention. You can see that there was a huge game from Izzy and Nosif, and even though they've been 14th on the leaderboard before, getting that victory royale with a number of eliminations, Coach Harry, has taken them in contention. But points wise, we're still looking so close. If you look at 6th and 7th, Vidil and Jew and Vexy and Catchby, they're on a tiebreaker situation, but Vidil and Jew's eliminations means that if we had to come down to 2-3-1 points after this game, they would be the ones making it. So, Harry, do you think that Vidil and Jew are going to be making it to Paris?
I mean, it depends on their Osborne situation. They've been splitting top tier training for the entire time, and it's just interesting whether, you know, Hellfire and Winter, then they've fallen out of contention slightly. You know, they can still, with a big game, get themselves back in it. And you know, maybe they're going to be a little bit more aggressive. So for Deal and Ju, have to be thinking, you know, maybe we have to disengage the spot really early on, and that can lead to different situations and problems, right, where you don't have enough loot going into end game, or you're getting eliminated early, so you're having to recover. But if they can have a standard, normal early game, I see no reason why they can't be qualifying to the LAN.
And Sayas and Scary, they're currently in 10th. That was a huge game for them, and it was a game they really needed. They managed to get to second 11, and we almost counted these guys out, really. But they proved they do have what it takes. They've just got to now prove it again in Game 8.
Finally playing with the fearlessness that we sort of highlighted earlier at the start of the day. They went for the juggler there, 13 elims and second place. Of course, they would have wanted the win, but we know they're capable of high elimination games. They're going to have to top that, though, you know, in this final game, if they really want to give themselves the best chance possible, because, yeah, there's a bunch of really good teams who I think we can expect to make it to another end game here. So not going to be an easy task, but they showed us in that last game as possible.
Let's bring up the leaderboard again, and again, look at the runners and riders. I'd like to actually go downwards, down the leaderboard onto what we'd normally call page 2, because again, those points are so incredibly close. Focus and Thomas, it's not out of the question, but if we consider that 6th place is currently 231 points, they absolutely need a mammoth game, because the teams that are above them, Coach Harry, are also going to be picking up points.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Sayas and Scary's last game, that's an 89-point game, and they didn't even get the victory royale, right? So you can get towards an 100-point game if it all goes right. So if you are Focus and Thomas, if you are someone like Rax and Janice, you're going to need to get active. You're going to need to be aggressive. It's not a situation where you can just try and play a standard game. You will not get enough points. So I'm excited to see what they do, how they change things up. Maybe they change landing spot, but there's 100% going to be action in the final game.
Well, the bright lights of Paris await for 3 more duos. We're going to head to Game 8, and after that, tickets will be booked.
Look, I feel mad nervous right now, and I'm not even playing Takata. It is just ridiculous when you look at the leaderboard standings and just how much it shifted from the start of the day to right now, but we are waiting to see who's actually going to be teed up for that EWC LAN later on in August, because Game 8 is underway.
It's close. It's really close. I mean, anybody in the top 10, top 11, even top 12 has a solid chance of qualifying. Will they play aggressive? Will they play slow? Are they going to go on a Sayas scary route and go for 10 eliminations before the end game even starts? Well, there's teams that don't have as much pressure on their shoulders, like Shark Peony, who have already qualified, and we might see them doing exactly that, but you got to be careful. The Shark has already gone down to Haris. Looks like they had a little split drop coming through.
All or nothing right now for Pink and Haris. They don't have the opportunity to sit and wait. All they want to do is try and establish themselves right here, right now. Full Hail Mary as Teeny finds an elimination onto Trexer. Trexer and Pradaj landing a little bit too close to where they were situated, but Hellfire and Winter, for the first time, at least from what we've captured on broadcast, have managed to open up with a big elimination onto the deal. This is a huge shutdown. The deal and Ju have been fighting non-stop to try and get their position settled in on the leaderboard, and now Hellfire and Winter might just be making them fall short of it by putting this hiccup early on in their game plan.
The battle continues. Volko Cringe taking their shots now onto Ju as he tries to disengage. Vidil has gone down. Ju had to be careful there. It's good he didn't get caught off guard. In the meantime, though, what has Hellfire been up to? Oh, this is actually how Vidil went down originally. What a way. No mats to work with. Second elim now for Hellfire Winter.
And can definitely anticipate Hellfire and Winter to continue trying to chase out the deal. The only way that the deal and Ju might be able to escape this is from intervention by other teams looking to also hunt those elimination points, but it is practically looking like a crash out central right now from all of these teams. Takata, everybody just hunting down for whatever elimination points they can gather, and Scary, Sayas, they might have just invited the attention of the entire lobby here as Rax Yanis trying to get involved. Riz and Pink, the original opening strikers on that fight, and Rax, he'll think better of it. Doesn't want to try and keep that one going. It's Pink and a Riz. Those fast eliminations just make it very complicated to actually try and interfere.
Yapko Panzer, one of the qualified duos. Less to lose, but you know, like you said, prize pool still incredibly high, 167 points. Kind of in one of those positions where if you want to bump yourself up that leaderboard, a big match is what's coming. The team right on the border, right beside them, is Thomas HD and Focus. They might just fight each other.
Panzer just trying to see if he can squeeze away Focus Thomas. They are going for that monumental game. They might have found a victory royale to start the day, but it has just been so messy ever since, and they need this so desperately. They are hunting out every single elimination they can try and factor into their scorecards, and now Thomas, Focus, spending a little bit too much time possibly dancing around here with Epco and Panzer. They are not making it easy, and what you're hunting for, if you're in Thomas and Focus's position, it's not even just the elimination points, but you want to be quick about it. You don't want the chance for other teams to start positioning themselves in a way to punish you the moment that you break out of where you were originally fighting at.
Sayas taking out Yanis in the meantime. It is just non-stop action for all these players that are desperate for getting into that top 6. Pink Karis being one of them. 4 on the board already as Darm gets taken down. Demish, it's all up to you. In the 2 versus 1, will you disengage? Or is he going to continue fighting? As it looks like he's feeling confident.
Demish recognizes the fact that it's just not an advantageous spot to be in. For Riz, getting that 5th elimination is actually such a big upswing for himself and Pink. They need these points. It's just as badly as Thomas and Focus. They are trying to put themselves into contention. They know that the bell hasn't rang just yet. They still have the entirety of game number 8 to try and make the difference and close things out on the day with the LAN qualification spot, but obviously so many other teams with the same sort of mentality. Zarb and Wolvax just looking to play spoiler here right now for Dexy, not gonna allow him to escape, shutting him down in the process, and for Dexy and Fido, that just means all the more complications for maintaining their spot on the leaderboard.
Might see a repeat here too as Dexy Fido fully cracked once again with Wolvax Zarb chasing them, hunting them down, but Zarb gets cracked by Thomas and Focus. Might have actually even been knocked here. No, just put low. Gonna be able to recuperate shield and HP now. As Thomas and Focus, they know what they need to qualify. It's a 100-point game.
Just scanning non-stop in the horizon though. For Zarb and Wolvax, LAN qualification is completely out the window, just mathematically speaking, but they can still look to try and play for prizing. It's going to be tough, but they're not factoring themselves out. This is also just valuable experience in the reloads department. Never know what kinds of competitions are around the corner here as Skyjump and Momsy, 269 points. They have done such a great job here today at managing to put themselves into a LAN qualification position. But now they need to maintain it.
It's crazy because Izzy and Nosif are their neighbors on the leaderboard. From way down below to now both French duos being head-to-head, both in qualifying range. Looking to represent in Paris, but be careful as the pressure is on. It's Hellfire knocking on the door alongside Winter. They're connecting their shots, but no knock has come through yet.
And this is a big problem right now for Vexy and Catchby. You have to remember that they're technically tied on the leaderboard heading into this last game with Fadil and Ju. Their points are neck and neck. And so if they take it out of the lobby right here, right now by Hellfire and Winter, not only does that allow Hellfire and Winter the opportunity to potentially steal that spot away from them, but it would very likely just be heartbreaking for Vexy and Catchbeat to lose out on the opportunity. Polish duo doing everything they can, try and push back. But these kinds of signs of life are just so difficult to try and overcome. But for Hellfire and Winter, they are not even the slightest bit deterred. Hellfire will be able to close things out. The Siphon too, just going to help him. Moving around inside of the storm. Catchbee did manage to escape, but how much distance did he really factor in between himself and Hellfire and Winter? The moment that Vexy reboots in, they're gonna have a pretty good idea of where Catchbee is actually at.
Wonder how many total eliminations have come through in this game. I mean, it seems non-stop. The feed is just constantly going. It's ridiculous how much pressure is being put on. A lot coming from Thomas and Focus, so you can tell they have not given up yet, just like all these other players in that surrounding area of the cutoff. Hellfire Winter continuing their pursuit.
Just crazy to see all of these teams that are just so relentlessly trying to hunt down whatever elimination points they can factor in. And for Hellfire Winter, every little bit counts more than ever. Just a couple of lobbies, finding themselves eliminated before that 15 placement points factored in. And that's really all it takes. That just goes to show how tight-knit the competition has been throughout today's games.
Really has. We look now. They've gotten 4 elims. Okay. Not too bad. Pink almost getting taken out, but shot not done enough damage. They've gotten a nice zone here. They are going to actually expand to kind of claim the corner. This is looking good. I mean, we saw how confidently Thomas and Focus played for height in the first game. I would not be surprised if we see a repeat of that here.
You say that, but Thomas and Focus, they're going to need more than just a victory royale. They're going to need some eliminations to go with it. I believe the highest scoring point on the day is still held by Sharkantini, who factored in something like 90 points, I believe, in one game. Size and Scary came close with that 89 points representation, and Focus and Thomas, they still have to go just a little bit above that, and that's only assuming the teams that are within the 3 qualification land spots don't also have strong performances here in this final lobby. So it's just difficult.
Odds are not in their favor. Odds are not in their favor at all. But hey, it's possible. And that's what makes it so special. Sky Scroll, as we saw in the last game, dancing in their box. Not really much to worry about. But hey, they want that first place prize money, and they're close to it. It's Sharktini, Swizzy Pixie standing in their way. Giannis is forced to push on forwards. Rax now in the middle of a little engagement here. It's actually off to Hellfire that gets knocked down, and both players fully eliminated. That is not good looks for Hellfire and Winter.
But that is a perfect bit of bounce back for Rax and Giannis, where one team has been shut down, another team could potentially rise because of it. Skyjump and Mumsy just trailing, but they aren't able to make it in. The cutoffs, Hellfire, Winter, going to be the ones to actually take out Skyjump and Mumsy, and now their fate rests exclusively on the performance of everybody else in this lobby.
Darm somehow has overthrown Thomas and Focus's little high ground base they'd built as a solo. I mean, I guess good and bad news is zone is pulled to the complete opposite side of the map, so long rotate for them. Sky Scroll gonna choose to rotate early. Done it flawlessly, not taking any damage at all. Sharktini right beside them.
This overhead view, just really just trying to take it all in for a moment here. But that stillness is just so daunting, especially when you're watching the likes of Izzy and Nosif, who are trying to dictate their own land qualification fate. They are right on the cusp. They've got the spot, technically speaking. They just need to close things out. Badil and Ju, not looking to make it easy for anyone. They could potentially shut down Swizzy and Pixie's hopes of that first place finish even, but Badil going to give it up. Recognizes the fact that Juice isn't really worth the squeeze here. doesn't want to chase Swizzy and Pixie any further. Rather just cement himself in a strong position to see where the next zone's actually going to head.
Thomas has been knocked down. This is detrimental for them if they want to qualify. Reload as well. Reboot's disabled. All the pressure is on to Focus's shoulders here. Trexer on the other side of the wall. Seems to be another solo, so could be a quick elimination, but the odds not in their favor at all.
Focus just has to do the unthinkable right now. If he's able to pull this one off, you might as well just factor him in as one of the best to ever do it, because that would just be absolute insanity to witness. But there is just so much to actually overcome. It's a little bit of a grim circumstance to be in for sure. Scary and Saya's on the other hand, right within the striking range. Ju going to be able to close off that line of sight. Gotta stay hip and hip with your duo. You cannot afford separation at this stage. There are just too many other teams, too many other players lurking and waiting for primo opportunity to get some elimination points.
Cashbeat, Vexy, one of the teams right outside of that qualifying range, tied with Vidil and Ju going into this match. They got out of a tough situation before. They've now made it to the end game. But placements points are just going to get started here. Nosif, Izzy down below. Sky Scroll going down as well. Cringe Volko. Sharktini up in the clouds, gliding for as long as they possibly can.
Just another one of those teams that desperately needs it. And for Volko, he gets beamed out of the air. Cringe not going to have the chance to look back. He's just got to play his own life here, and Rax is going to be the one punishing Volko for trying to hang about off the launch pad strategy here. There's always some risk factored in, and for Rax and Yanis, they are sending it on height. They are looking to take out every single one of these teams that thought they could play for the safety net of the launch pad methods. And this is just so destructive now, because all these teams sent crashing into the lower layers, hunting for players left in isolated positions like Ju, who's got to just hold on.
Cannot afford to go down if he wants to qualify. No teammate left. Cringe as well. A solo. So many solos on the cusp of qualifying. They need to clutch out more points here. They're already getting placements after every duo that gets eliminated, but Izzy falls as well. There's just more and more solos racking up, but Ju is going to go down. Raxianis have taken height. Cringe as well, clutching it up.
But Cringe, all he needs, he can't even look at the points. He just needs to think about survival. Every single one of his cent is fully maxed out here as Nosif continues trying to hold on for dear life. Everybody wants every little bit of points that they can muster up, and Nosif doing his best to dance around some of these pre-existing builds. A Zumbleback would be so beneficial right now, but he's not going to get the chance. He's taken out by the storm itself. That sickness working against him is now scary. From way up above, secondary height, pulling it over.
With the weight of Spain on his shoulders from an incredible last match, trying to clutch any points he possibly can. Cringe as well, one of the other solos. So many players with the opportunity to qualify. Who's going to be able to make it happen as Sky picks up one more? Rax and Yanis continuing to hold on above.
This would be the one to win if there was ever the time to do it. Rax and Yanis trying to do the unthinkable here is scary. Will be shut down. Cringe still lingering about as a solo. The amount of points that he's been building might just be the ultimate difference maker here. As Yanis now looking to capitalize. Rax just hanging on by a sliver of HP, but 12 eliminations already for this duo. Rax just needs to see if he can find one more. The siphon would be everything currently, but Rax, Yanis forced to drop. Rax is taken out. Yanis realizes that he's got to do what he can just to see if he can hold on. He knows that this just isn't enough. He's going to even look to play for the revive. Sky Scroll, just so distraction factor, actually going to be able to give him the time he needs. And now Rex, he might have just been able to do this.
They need to win this game. They were 15th going into it. A victory royale is what they need if they want to qualify. All the pressure is on their shoulders. They have to hit their shots here, but Yanis Rex go down. Sky and Scroll come out on top, but for how long? It was actually Shark and Teeny taking shots from above. Sky has been left alone And they actually just win the game. Sharktini out of nowhere. They win Reload Elite Series Qualifier 1. They win the Qualifier 2. And have they just won the 4th qualifier as well? They might have just won every single qualifier finals that they made it to, Taco.
If I'm Swizzy and Pixie, I might be a little bit sick right now if I just witness Shark and Teeny steal this show away in the final hour. It's going to be